Have you ever heard a story so strange, so chilling, that it stays with you long after you've heard it? Today, we're sailing to a remote, storm-battered island in the Outer Hebrides of Scotland to uncover one of the greatest maritime mysteries of all time, the disappearance of the Eilean Mor lighthouse keepers. It was December 1900 on the tiny, uninhabited island of Eilean Mor. A brand-new lighthouse stood as a beacon of safety for ships navigating the treacherous North Atlantic. Manned by three seasoned keepers, Thomas Marshall, James Duckett, and Donald MacArthur, it was a lonely but vital post. For weeks, their light cut through the darkness, a comforting signal in the vast, empty sea. But then, one day, the light went out. On December 15th, a passing steamer, the Arcta, noticed the Eilean Mor light was dark. This was highly unusual. Lighthouse keepers were known for their unwavering discipline. For a light to fail was a serious breach of duty, suggesting something was terribly wrong. The captain of the Arcta noted it in his log and reported it upon reaching his next port. However, due to a series of delays and miscommunications, it wasn't until December 26 Boxing Day that a relief vessel, the Hesperus, was finally dispatched to investigate. The captain of the Hesperus, Joseph Moore, felt a growing sense of dread as they approached the island. He sounded the ship's horn and fired a flare, standard procedure to announce their arrival, but there was no response. The island was eerily silent. The flagstaff was bare, no flag flying to greet them. An empty box for provisions sat on the landing stage, waiting to be restocked. But of the three keepers, there was no sign. A relief keeper, named Joseph Moore, the very man who discovered the scene, was sent ashore alone to investigate. What he found was a scene straight out of a ghost story. He climbed the steep stone steps to the lighthouse entrance and found the main door unlocked. Inside, the living quarters were strangely preserved. A clock on the kitchen wall had stopped. The table was set for a meal that was never eaten. An overturned chair lay on the floor, as if someone had jumped up in a hurry. The keepers' beds were unmade, and their oilskin waterproofs were missing, suggesting they had left in a hurry to face the weather. But here's where it gets even weirder. The last entry in the Lighthouse logbook was dated December 15th. The entries from the days leading up to it painted a terrifying picture. Thomas Marshall, the principal keeper, wrote of a storm lakes of which he had never seen in his 20 years of service. He described powerful winds and giant waves crashing against the tower. He wrote that James Duckett had been very quiet and that Donald MacArthur, a tough, experienced mariner, had been crying. Crying. This was a man known for his grit and resilience. What could possibly have shaken him so badly? The log entry for December 13th mentioned the storm was still raging, and all three men were praying. But here's the most baffling part. There were no reported storms in the area on December 12th, 13th, or 14th. The weather on the surrounding sea was calm. Was it a localized, freak weather event, or was it something else entirely? The final log entry on December 15th was short and cryptic. Storm ended. Sea calm. God is over all. After that, nothing. The official investigation concluded that the men were likely swept away by a giant rogue wave. The theory goes that the keepers went out to secure a crate during a break in the storm, were washed away, and the third keeper rushed out to help them, only to meet the same fate. This would explain the missing oilskins and the overturned chair. It sounds plausible, right? Case closed. Not so fast. There are several problems with this theory. First, the ropes and equipment on the landing stage, which were supposedly being secured, were found neatly coiled and stowed, not in disarray as you'd expect after a frantic emergency. Second, why would all three experienced keepers venture outside together, breaking a fundamental rule of lighthouse operation that one man must always remain on duty inside? And if a giant wave had struck the west landing, where they supposedly were, it would have had to be over 100 feet high to reach them. While not impossible, such a wave would have left far more significant damage. And so the theories began to swirl, growing wilder with each telling. Some suggested a fight broke out between the men. Perhaps one went mad, killed the other two, and then threw himself into the sea. Donald MacArthur did have a reputation for being a brawler, but there was no evidence of foul play, no signs of a struggle inside the lighthouse apart from that one overturned chair. Others turned to the supernatural. Eilean Mor, which means Big Island Gaelic, has long been steeped in folklore. It was known as a place of strange spirits and was even referred to as the other country by locals. Some believed the men were taken by the phantom of the Seven Hunters, a ghostly boat said to haunt the waters. Could they have seen something so terrifying that it drove them from the safety of the lighthouse and into the raging sea? The log entries about one keeper crying and the men praying certainly fuel this kind of speculation. Then there are the more fringe theories. Was it an alien abduction? A sea monster? Some have even pointed to the name of the first ship to notice the extinguished light, the Arctur, which is an unusual name. Could it hold a clue? Probably not, but in a mystery this deep, people will look for meaning anywhere they can find it. Decades later, the mystery only deepens. Another version of the logbook supposedly surfaced with even more bizarre entries. It allegedly described strange voices in the wind, a great beast on the island, and one of the men transforming into a screaming creature of the wind. Most historians dismiss this as a later fictional embellishment, a product of poets and playwrights who became fascinated with the story. The original logbook, by the way, has since vanished, leaving us with only the transcribed notes from the official inquiry. So, what really happened to Thomas Marshall, James Ducat, and Donald MacArthur? Were they victims of a freak act of nature, a moment of human madness, or something far stranger? The rogue wave theory remains the most accepted official explanation, but it leaves too many questions unanswered. The neatness of the equipment, the decision for all three to go outside, the phantom storm in the logbook, these details just don't quite fit. The Eilean Mor lighthouse is now automated. No keepers walk its lonely halls. But the ghosts of the three men who vanished remain. Their story serves as a chilling reminder that even in our modern world there are some places where the sea holds its secrets close where the line between the natural and the supernatural blurs, and where some questions may never be answered. The silent lighthouse on the Isle of Eilean Mor stands as a monument to an enduring mystery. Its light, now shining automatically, a constant, silent vigil over the empty, waiting sea. What do you think happened? Let me know your theories in the comments below. It's a story that invites speculation, and I'd love to hear what you all think. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the unknown. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into history's greatest mysteries. See you next time.